All right, welcome back to Genius. Okay, so in the previous chapter, we looked at the addition operator and we saw what we could do with the addition operator. So in this session, let's take a deeper look into subtraction and multiplication. Okay, we are not just going to discuss how to multiply numbers. No, we have other uses for these operators. Okay, so let's take a look at it and we'll see them in action too. So first of all, with the subtraction operator in Python, all right, it is used to subtract one number from another. This is the basic function of subtraction operator. That is the basic function. If you want to subtract a number from another number, you want to get the difference between two numbers, you use the subtraction operator. This is the basic use of it, but it also works with different numeric data types, not just the integers or the floating point numbers. It works with the integers, it works with floating numbers, it works with list. No, no, sorry, not list. Sorry. No, there is a way. It also works with list, but in a different way, but that is more advanced. Okay. It works with sets. Okay, so we are going to see different ways we can use this subtraction operator in Python. Okay, so this is the basic subtraction. We have a variable that we stored 10 in it. So we have A variable, we have B variable. So A contains 10, B contains 4. So we could just say A minus B, and it will give us, the result would be definitely 6, because we are saying 10 minus 4. Basically, that's what we are saying. So when you do this, when you print the result, you're going to get 6. So let's go to the browser. Let's go to our website and see how we actually put this together. So I'll go to the code editor. Okay. So I will take these guys out. If you want to, make sure that if you want to write Python code, make sure you selected Python here. Just if it's not Python, just click on it and then select Python. It could be any of these ones, but make sure you selected Python. Okay, so make sure you select Python. So I'm going to write my Python code here. So I'm going to say I have a variable equal to 10. I have another one B equal to 4. So I want the difference between these two numbers. So I'm going to put it in result, and I'll say result is equal to, I think I should increase my font. Okay. All right. So my result is going to be A minus B. And if I say print result, okay, if I run this code now, we are going to see it's going to give us 10 minus 4, which is 6. All right. So the result here is 6. Okay. So if you can also say B minus A. Let's see what it will give us. B is 4, A is 10. That means it's going to give us a negative value. So let's run it and we are going to see what we get. We get minus 6, which is expected. So this is the basic use of the subtraction operator. Okay. All right. So we can also subtract floating point numbers. Remember, floating point numbers are numbers that have decimal points. Okay, the decimal point that we used to know. So this is a floating point number. It is not an integer. An integer is a whole number. So a floating point number is any number that contains decimal point. So we have these two numbers. So if you subtract them, you're going to get their difference. So if we go back to our website, so I could say 10.8, I could say 4.9. And if I try to do A minus B, I'm going to get, I guess that would be 5.89, 5.9, I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, 5.9. Okay. So you can see, you can also do floating points and integer. One of them could be floating point and one of them could be integer. And if you run this code, it will work. It will give you 6.8. But look at what it has also added. So when you're working with floating points, okay, always be careful because there are extra things. We were even expecting 6.8, But look at what it has given us. It has given us extra precision. So be careful when you're working with floating point numbers, okay? Just know that all these extra things could actually, there are some unexpected things that happen when you're working with floating points, okay? So this is the subtraction with floating points. You can also, like I have shown you, you can do floating point and integers too. So subtracting negative numbers, okay? I have just shown you that 10 minus, okay, you have 10, you have a negative, no, a negative 5 and you have a positive 10. So when you subtract it, 10 minus 10, it will give you 15 actually. You know this mathematics now. When you have 10 minus 5. So look at this thing that we have in the comment here. Anything that starts with this hashtag is a comment. So we are saying 10 minus 5. All right, so of course, minus times minus will give us plus. It's not going to be 10 plus 5. You remember the mathematics those days, okay? So if I go ahead and show you in code, just make sure you're practicing with me, okay? If I have 10 and here I have minus 4, make sure you're practicing with me. So A minus B, which will be A minus 4. So the minus minus will cancel each other to become plus, then we'll now have 14. So if we run this thing, we are going to have 14. I hope you remember the mathematics. So this is going to be 10 minus 5. So you put them in bracket. So it will give you the way mathematics works. That's how this one also works here. Okay. So when you print out, you're going to get 15. So you can also use minus as a unary operator. A unary operator is an operator that operates on a single value. All right. A unary operator is an operator that operates on a single value. That's a unary operator. So if you watch, the minus operator can also be used as a unary operator to negate a number. So if you want to negate, we have a positive 5 here. So if you want to get the negative of this number, you just do the minus before it, and it will give you minus 5. So when you have this, we are using this minus operator as a unary operator. Right now, it is only operating on a particular operand, on one operand. Okay, so that's why it is a unary operator. So if you print this thing out, you're going to get minus 5. Let me show you in code. So I have this. Okay. All right. So let's say if I go ahead and say minus b, okay, this is unary operation because this operator, a unary operation or a unary expression, okay, a unary operation expression is actually an expression where an operand is being operated by a single, sorry, a unary operation is actually a unary operation or expression is actually a situation whereby um, an operator is only operating on a single operand. So here we are not saying A minus B. When you say A minus B, that operator, that subtraction operator is operating on two operands, one on the left, one on the right. But right now, we are not having two operands here. We're only having one operand. So this operator is operating on one operand. So when we run this thing, we are going to get the negation of B. Negation of B right here is what? B is minus 4. So when you negate B, we are going to get plus 4. We're going to get positive 4. But when we say minus A, we are going to get what? Minus 10. So what this negation operator, when you use the minus operator like this, is going to negate the value of that operand. So when we say minus A, we are saying minus, we are going to get minus 10. When you say minus B, because B is already minus 4, it will negate it and give you plus 4. So let me show you again. When we say as in result equal to minus B, we are negating whatever value B has, and B has minus 4. So when we run this, it's going to give us plus 4. But of course, you're not going to see the plus sign here. Okay? All right. So you can also subtract elements in list using list comprehension. But this is more somehow advanced because we have not even talked about list. But I want you to understand that it is possible. So whenever we start talking about it, you could understand it. So don't bother if you don't understand what I'm going to show you here. But the thing is this, we have this list, list one, and we have another list. So we are saying, forget about whatever we are doing from here upward, okay? But the thing is this, whatever we are doing here, we are saying the element of A at each position. This one is zero position, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So we are saying 10 minus 1, 20 minus 2, 30 minus 3. So basically that's what we are doing, and that's what we got. The result we got was 10 minus 1 is 9, 20 minus 2 is 18, 30 minus 3 is 27. So it is possible to minus, to do, there's a way you can do it, but you don't do it directly. Let me show you. Don't worry, you might not understand what we are doing here, but don't bother about it. But just understand that you can also perform subtraction with a list element, but there is a way you don't do it directly. If you try to do it directly like this, you will have an error. So if I go on and say I have a list A is equal to 1, 2, 3, and I have another list B is equal to 4, 5, 6. If I go on and try to say print A minus B, this will give us an error. You cannot do it directly. So if I run this now, we are going to get an error. You cannot do it directly, but there's a way you do it using list comprehension. Why I am not going to explain what was done here or how to do it right now, because we have not talked about list comprehension or using the map function on list. Okay, so that is why later on when we talk about list comprehension, then we can mention how you can subtract two elements of list. Okay, so but just have it in mind that you can actually do that, but there is a way you do it, but you don't do it directly. Okay. All right. So you can also, so if you want, if you have let's say you have two dates, okay? Let's say you have somebody's date of birth and you have another person's date of birth, and you want to find the difference, okay? You want to find the difference. You can also use the subtraction operator. So Python allows subtraction of time data objects to calculate the difference between dates. So of course, you have to say, don't worry, this is modules. Okay, we'll talk about modules later on, but for now, just understand that for us to use this date time, we have to import it. Okay, Python developers have created this particular functionality for us, and they have it somewhere. So for us to make that use of that functionality, we have to import it. So don't worry, we'll talk about modules and we'll talk about import and export. Okay, so now we have our first date as 3rd of 17th of March 2025, and we have another date 20th of 10th of March 2025. So if you want to get the difference between these two dates, all you have to do is to say date 1 minus date 2, and you get the difference. So let's go and let me show you. So in case anyway, very soon you still learn about the date time. So remember that you can also do subtraction with date. So I will say from date time import, because I want to make use of that date time, import date time. Okay, I hope I am correct. So I will say date 1, sorry, I'll say date 1 is equal to date time, and I'll give it the year, which is 2025. I'll give it the month, which is March. I'll give it maybe a random date, let's say 13. Okay, then I'll have another date. I'll say date 2, and this date is date time 2025. Let's say still March, but it was maybe some days before 13th. So I could just say 2nd of March. So if I go ahead and say print the difference between date 1 and date 2. So I'll say date 1 minus date 2. If I go ahead and print it, I hope we don't have any error. So if I go ahead and print it, you see, It's telling us that we have 11 days in between them. So this gave us the difference in their dates. So if you want to know the difference in dates, you can also use the subtraction. Okay, don't worry, we'll still talk about the date object later on, but in case you come across it, just know that you can do subtraction with the date. Okay. All right. So you can also subtract set objects. Yes, we haven't talked about sets, but know that you can also do this. A set is just a collection of unique values. Don't worry, we'll talk about that later. So this is how we create a set. This is our set one, and this is our set two. So set one contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and set two contains only 3, 4, 5. So if you want to get the difference between these two sets, you can watch. If you see, set 2 does not contain 1 and 2, but it contains 3, 4, 5. So the difference here is what they don't have in common. That is the difference. So when you say set 1 minus set 2, all right, you're going to get the difference. What they don't have in common, not what they don't have in common. So set 2 does not have 1 and 2. So of course you're going to get 1 and 2. Okay? You're going to get 1 and 2. So I don't need to actually do any code here, but just understand it. We have set 1, 2, 3. We have set 1 contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set 2 contains only 3, 4, 5. So what is the difference? What does set 1 have that set 2 doesn't have? So what is that? The difference is 1 and 2. So it's going to give us another set, which is 1 and 2. Okay? All right. So how do you handle subtraction with none? Remember, none is a data type in Python, and string is also a data type in Python. So when you do subtraction like this, it will cause an error. You cannot do subtraction with the none value. Okay, so look at it. When you say 5 minus none, there will be an error. You cannot do that. Let me show you. You cannot say print 5 minus none. It doesn't work. It will give you an error. Okay. You can also not say 5 minus string. Even though if it looks like a number, it will not work because there are two different data types. So if I also run it, it's not going to work. It will give us an error. Okay. If you want this thing to work, all you have to do is to convert this other string into an integer. Convert it into an integer first. So if you convert it to an integer, then it's going to work to give us 0. But you cannot just go on and say 5 minus none or 5 minus a string. It will not work. Okay, this will give you an error. So whenever you're doing integers or float numbers minus the non value or a string value, it wouldn't work. It will give you an error. Okay. So in conclusion, the subtraction operator is used for numeric subtraction, and it can also be used as a unary negation operator. Remember, when you use it as a unary operator, you say minus b or minus 5 or minus a variable, whatever, okay, it's going to negate the value of that particular variable or that particular literal value, okay? So it works with strings, it works with integers, floats, complex numbers, sets, date, time, and numpy arrays, okay? It does not work with none. It does not work with strings. It does not work with lists directly. You cannot say list 1 minus list 2, but there is a way you do it. Okay, when we talk about list and we talk about list comprehension, then we'll show you how to do that. But you cannot do subtraction of list directly. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. And yeah, let's go to multiplication. Okay, let's go to multiplication. So the multiplication operator in Python is a versatile operator used for different operations. It includes numeric multiplication, 1 times 1, 3 times 7, 4 times 5. Okay, the normal multiplication operation we used to know. Then you can also use it for string repetition. If you have a particular string and you want that particular string to be repeated so many other times, you can use it to create duplication. Okay, we are going to see how to do all those here. You can also use it to duplicate a list. And you can also use it, You can also use it to work with NumPy arrays. But when we start talking about arrays, when we talk about NumPy arrays, would explain to you how to use it with NumPy arrays. Okay. All right. So the basic numeric multiplication. Okay. You already know 2 times 3, 4 times 5, 5.5 times 3.3. Okay. This is the basic multiplication. Okay. This is the basic multiplication. So if you go on and do something like this, if I say, I can say 5, this is the star is the multiplication, the star is the multiplication sign operator. So 5 times 7, all right, it will give us 35, all right? Okay, I can also use variables. I can say A is equal to 9, B is equal to 8, and I now say print A multiplied by B. All right, it will give us, what will it give us? 72? Am I correct? Yeah, 72. My brain is still hot, man. All right. So then you can also do floating point, 9.9 multiplied by 8.0. Okay, it will give you this. Okay, you can also do floating point and integer. All right, it will give you this. Now, the thing is this, you might be wondering because they are not of the same data type. Floating point and integer, they are not of the same data type. Why is it working without having any error? The thing is that once Python can convert a particular type to the other type, there will be no problem. So Python can actually convert an integer to floating point without any issues. Okay, so there will be no problem in the conversion. So Python can convert integer 8 to a floating point number. All right. So this is the basic one. You can also do multiplication with floating point. I just showed you that. Okay. Make sure you're practicing with me. Just practice along. Make sure you're practicing with me. You can also do multiplication with negative numbers. All right. A here is -5, B is +3. So if we go back and do something like that, we are going to, let's say B is -8 and A is 9.9. If we run this, we are going to get -7, 9.2. Okay, so you can also work with negative numbers, just like the way we do it in mathematics. Okay, so you can use it for string repetition. The multiplication operator can be used to repeat a string multiple times. So you have a text like hello, and you say test times 3. So you're going to repeat it 3 times. And when you print, it's going to be hello, hello, hello. So let's go and see. I have A like this. I'll say A is hello. Okay. And then I will now say A multiplied by 3. So if I print this thing now, I'm going to get hello, hello, hello. All right. So it can also be the other side. I can put 3 here, then put A here. I can put A here. So I will say 3 times A. I will still give me hello, hello, hello. All right. Okay. So use it to repeat. So if you want to have space in between them, just give space in the first one. Okay, so you see you're going to have space in between them. So you use, if you have any reason to multiply a particular string into multiple times, you use the multiplication operator to do that. Remember, note that multiplication with 0 will give you an empty string. If you try to multiply a string by 0, okay, it will give you an empty string. Okay, it will give you an empty string. It printed nothing because it's an empty string. Okay, so it is an empty string. It printed nothing. So whenever you try to multiply by 0, it will give you empty string. Okay, so you can also use the multiplication operator to multiply or duplicate list. You have lists like this. So if you multiply it by 3, it's going to give you 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So whatever we have in the list, it will give you 3 times. The same thing with tuple. 4 and 5. You multiply it by 2 to give you 4, 5, 4, 5. So let's go and see it in code. Make sure you're coding along with me. So I have, let me say I have this list, 1, 2, 3, okay, and I have this tuple. I have this tuple, 4, 5, 6. So if I try to say, um, if I try to say 2 multiply 2 times A, remember A is a list here. If I run this code, see what we are going to get. We are going to get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I try to multiply it by 3, we'll get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. If I try to do the same thing with the tuple, with B, it will give me 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. So this is how you actually do the multiplication. For any reason, if you have any reason to do this in your logic, okay, you don't worry. When we start doing, by the end of this program, we're actually going to do some projects. Okay, so you're going to see all these things put together. So this is more advanced because first of all, we have not even talked about functions, but I just want to bring it to your notice. But if you don't understand it, not problem. Okay. Just understand that there is something we call, when we are using the multiplication operator in functions, we call it the unpacking operator. Okay. I will not go into details. I will not go into details to explain anything here, but this is the best thing I can say here. I just want you to understand that you can use the multiplication operator when working with function arguments. So whenever you're working with the multiplication operator with function arguments, we call it the unpacking operator. Don't worry, when we start talking about function and function arguments, we are going to bring it up again. So it is called the unpacking operator. Okay, so we also have another one used to capture extra arguments. Okay, just understand that whenever you're working, there is something called the unpacking operator, and this unpacking operator is used, it is the multiplication operator when it is used in function arguments. Okay, I will not go on to, if I go on to explain this, we haven't talked about functions, we haven't talked about function arguments, you might not understand it. We can also use the unpacking operator when we are working with dictionaries. We haven't talked about dictionaries, so I'm not so going to go deep. I just want to bring it to your notice. Okay, I want to bring it to your notice. It is somehow high level. Okay, so you can use it to unpack dictionaries. You don't know what dictionary is right now, so I'm not going to go deep into it. So you can also, you don't use the multiplication operator on none and string, just like the way you will not use the minus on strings and none. It will throw an error. If you try to do this multiplying by none or multiplying by a string, it will throw an error. So just have it at the back of your mind. So in conclusion here, the multiplication operator is used for numeric multiplication, integers, floats, complex numbers. It supports string repetition and list tuple duplication. It is used for function argument function argument unpacking. So when you use it in function argument unpacking, it is called the unpacking operator. It can also be used in unpacking dictionary. So don't worry, when we get there, you're going to understand. But I just want to bring it to your notice so that when we start using it, you understand what it is. Okay. Thank you very much. And make sure you do your assignment. Make sure you practice as I'm coding, you're coding along. Just make sure you do your own. Make sure you do the assignment actually. Okay. It will help you to master Python. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next session.